It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome a current NFL player and Super Bowl champion. He played his college ball at Wagner before he was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens in the 2018 NFL Draft. In 2019, he joined the Kansas City Chiefs and was a member of the Super Bowl 54 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. He wrapped up this past season as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Greg Senat, and he joins this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN right now with your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented right here by Fox Sports Radio. I'm your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. So excited to be here with you today. If you're like me, we're missing football. So I had to bring in someone that could talk the best and the brightest of football with me. He is none other than Greg Senat. He is an offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. I know he's coming into enemy territory, but we'll welcome him with open arms. He is a Super Bowl champion. He'll be entering his fourth season in the National Football League. So without further ado, please help me welcome none other than Greg Senat to the show. Greg, how are you today?
I'm good, Kelsey. How are you doing?
I'm good. I have to warn you, you're coming into Washington, D.C., Greg, so not all the stuff might be nice and jolly, but hey, I asked them to be nice. How has everything been for you this off season and kind of dealing with COVID, right? We're still trying to get over the ramifications of COVID, and hopefully one day, Greg, will be back to life as normal. So how has that been for you?
It's been good so far. I play for Dallas, so things are a little less restricted there.
Yeah.
And I'm in Arizona right now training, so just enjoying some nice weather, just trying to get away from the cold and, getting to work, hitting the pavement hard.
Yeah, and prayer is continuing for Texas. I know Texas has been through a lot, and now you're in sunny Arizona. I'm a little bit jealous. We're getting a little sunshine here in the DMV, but I'm sure it's much warmer. So talk about training, what that process has been like. Do you really give yourself an off season, Greg, or are you kind of just back to work, focused, and that mentality?
I give myself a little bit of time off, went away, went on vacation, took a trip to Mexico just to kind of take my mind away from it. But I really, my main focus this off season is hitting it hard. I'm going into year 4. For a lot of people who don't know, that's a really big year for especially NFL athletes.
Yeah.
For me personally, I just want to put my best foot forward this off season to give myself the best opportunity when the season starts to get out there and contribute to the team.
Yeah, talking about putting the best foot forward and really being able to contribute. And yeah, year 4 is a very, very important year. I do want to talk about your NFL career, but let's start from the beginning. All right, let's make sure everyone knows your story. Let's talk about growing up in Elmont, New York, and what was that like? And what first got you into football, Greg?
Oh, so like you said, I grew up in Elmont, New York. My parents are from Haiti, so I'm a first-generation Haitian American.
Yes.
Elmont's a beautiful place. Very diverse, very rich culture there. A lot of Black people, a lot of people from all parts of the country. So I had a pretty good upbringing. I had a lot of experience with other people. But my very first love was basketball. So that was my first sport that I played. I've been playing that since I was in 5th grade. And actually, that's what I went to college to play. I went to Wagner College to play basketball. And just a little bit about that. Coach Bashir Mason was my head coach there. He gave me a chance to go out there and play, have a Division I scholarship. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And I've had a lot of coaches along the way, and just my basketball career that have helped me, from like Coach Holub of my at Elmont High School, or Coach Navar Allen, who was my AAU coach. But moving on to college, I didn't start playing football until my senior year of college. It was something that's kind of always been on my heart. In high school, I played a little bit of football in like 9th and 10th grade. I played lacrosse too. But I know I felt like there was an opportunity for me there to play football and give it a shot. And thankfully, my basketball coach, Coach Bashir Mason at the time, and the head football coach, Coach Jason Holtelling, were like super helpful and just helped kind of encourage me to go down that route. And I'm extremely thankful to this day, because I wouldn't be here. And, you know, like I always tell people that life, you never know what life's going to take you. I didn't think I'd be in the NFL one day. I had a dream of playing in the NBA or going overseas or something, but God has different plans for our lives, and, you know, you just got to take it as they come.
Words well said. It's definitely God's plan. And that's the great thing about life, Greg. You never know where it's going to take you. And I'll tell you, I'm sure everybody in the NBA is probably glad you're not playing in it at 6'6" and 305 pounds. I don't know, Greg. You probably would have had a lot of buckets in basketball. But it's great, obviously, to see the size that you have and that you were able to play football. And all right, we already have questions coming in for you, Greg. So you talked about playing basketball. I do want to dig into that deeper. But our first question from the listening audience, Greg, is how does your basketball skills transfer over to the football field? I'm sure it gives you just a little bit of maybe extra help, Greg.
Definitely. I mean, transitioning from basketball to football is definitely not an easy transition, but definitely my years of playing basketball helped me just in the conditioning aspect and the footwork aspect, and just the overall athleticism that it takes to play football. When I first started playing, I was a tight end, and I quickly got moved over to being offensive lineman. And, you know, I had a great coach, Stephon Wheeler, who was my O-line coach at Wagner. He's now the O-line coach at University of Rhode Island. But him and Jason Hotelling and all the coaches there just kind of saw my potential and what I could do before I could. And just knowing my basketball background, they just helped me just get my feet under me and understand just the footwork of the game and understand the X's and O's of the game. And, I mean, basketball definitely helped me immensely in transitioning over to football.
Yeah, like you said, that footwork especially, and it's so important in football. I don't think people give enough credit, Greg, especially at your position, right? That footwork is everything when you're making sure you're blocking and making sure guys aren't able to come through. So it's great to see, again, transferable skills. Are you still playing any pickup basketball, Greg? Or maybe once COVID is over, right? You'll be back.
Definitely once COVID is over, hopefully. I can't remember the last time I dribbled a basketball. Like, I would love to go out there and just shoot a couple jump shots here and there. But, you know, it's been all football for me for the past few years.
Yeah, all football for you. And I like that you touched on playing multiple sports. You know, this is something that a lot of people are preaching now to kids in school, right? Not only being one sport athlete, because of those transferable skills. And I'm glad you touched on that, because you talked about your high school. You played 3 sports, right? Lacrosse, basketball, and football, right? Which is great to see. And especially lacrosse, that's different. I'll have to tell you, I don't think we get to see too many Black men, Greg, playing the sport of lacrosse. What got you into lacrosse in high school?
Definitely. I mean, I grew up in Elmont, Long Island, and if anyone knows anything about lacrosse, Long Island's one of those hotbeds for lacrosse. Yeah. So it was really, I just started playing because it was something all my friends were doing. Like, basketball season was coming to a close, and I'm like, what are you guys going to do? It's like, oh, we're going to go play lacrosse. So let's go try lacrosse. And I loved it. You know, I played through junior high and up until about my 10th grade year before I really got serious with basketball.
Right.
But like you said, I encourage all kids, like, try everything, because you never know what you're good at. And when you're younger, your body and your brain are still forming. So, you know, you can pick up things so much quicker than you can when you're 18 or 19 years old. So, like, I encourage kids all the time, like, try every sport, do as much as you can. You know, like, if it wasn't for my parents encouraging me to play sports, I don't know where I'd be. Like, it was because the only reason I started playing basketball, I remember I was in 5th grade. I was a kid, you know, I just enjoyed being outside with my friends, playing video games, doing anything. And my mom just got tired of it. She's like, you're going to go do something. So she signed me up for basketball tryout, and she never let me quit, never let me quit. And, you know, thankfully I'm here now.
Yeah, I love that you touched on that story. And I'm sure it means a lot for you, right, to represent Haiti on the
Yeah.
football field or on the basketball courts. What does it mean for you being a Haitian American and getting to play the game that you love, Greg, for your career?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, firstly, making my parents proud, coming here when they were, I forgot, maybe 27, 28, and not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, not knowing anything about America. And to have a son that is playing in the NFL, I know like how proud that makes them. And just to be an example for all the other Haitian kids out there, Haitian American, even kids in Haiti, to see someone from their country to be where I'm at, like, it means everything. And, I think Haiti gets a bad rep as a country because it is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
Right.
For many reasons, a lot that I can't get into on this podcast. I mean, because
Greg, I'm like, we keep it real on this podcast.
But it's a beautiful country with beautiful people. And, for people that don't know, Haiti is the first free Black republic in the world.
Yes.
Which is a little bit of history a lot of people don't know, like to win your independence before even slaves in America were given their independence. That's a huge thing. So we're a very strong, very proud people. And, just to represent Haiti in, playing the biggest sport in the world, it means everything.
It means a lot, I can tell. So where do you rank on the all-time greatest athletes to come out of Haiti, Greg? Where are you putting yourself?
I know that's not for me to rank. I let other people do that. If I can even get to that status at some point in my career, I'll be extremely grateful for it. But I'm just happy to be an example to all my fellow Haitians, the kids growing up, and just making my parents proud.
Yeah, I love that. You can tell. And I know you are. I truly know you are. Mike has given some good questions on the show. He said there's a video of Myles Garrett playing basketball out there. You versus Myles on the basketball court, Greg. Who wins?
I mean, right now, I got to give it to Myles. I've seen some of his videos, and I got a little chance to play with him when I was in Cleveland in the beginning of this last season. And he's very athletic, and he could do a lot of things that I can't do right now at my size. Maybe when I was back in my basketball days, but I'm gonna give that to Myles right now. I don't know if he could shoot better than me, but if we were playing 1-on-1, I'd probably give him the upper hand.
That's humble. That's humble. I've seen that video too. I was like, wow, all right, Myles. We love the transition and crossover. So such a great question. All right, let's go back to high school. So you talked about you played tight end for 2 years in high school. Then you transferred to a prep school, right, to focus solely on basketball. So again, I think that's so magnificent that now you're playing in the National Football League, even though I'm sure you probably thought your career would be different. But talk about that transition going from Elmont to the prep school and just kind of how your skills developed.
Like I said, I started playing football when I was in 5th grade, and for a very long time, I wasn't very good at all. I liked being a part of a team. I liked being active, and it really wasn't until like my 9th, 10th grade year where it started to click, and I started taking it more and more serious. But I distinctly remember the end of my junior year. After, playing AAU is a big thing, trying to get exposure, trying to get scholarships,
right.
Just not having any scholarship offers and just kind of really feeling stressed out because I knew with my family, like if I didn't get a scholarship, I really wasn't going to college. So I really dedicated myself that off season of my junior year to just bettering my craft and spend literally every day at the court, just working on my game. My AAU coach, Navarro Allen, big shout out to him. Like he's one of those coaches that you have grown up that sees potential in you and puts everything into you. I remember distinctly one summer, just every day. I lived on Long Island. He lived in Suffolk County, Long Island, which is I was from Nassau. He's from Suffolk. So he's about an hour away. And I just remember every day taking 2 trains and a bus just to get out there, just to train with him outside in the park, in the heat, dying. But I had something that I wanted. I had a goal that I had in mind. And I was going to do everything I could to get to that point. And he invested a lot in me. He helped pay for me to go to a camp out in Pennsylvania called Hoop Group. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with that. And handled everything, drove me out there, paid my admission fee. And that's kind of where my career in basketball just took off, and it just kind of clicked for me. And I was able there to perform really well. Funny enough, the coach of mine at that camp was the head coach of the prep school that I ended up going to. A chance to reclassify, which is doing it a year over to give you more time to get ready for college. And I put in so much work that off season. I just remember coming back home from that camp, and maybe about a week later, I'm sitting there watching like Nickelodeon with my brothers, watching like Fairly Odd Parents or something.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from some random Delaware number, and I pick it up, and it's the head coach of the University of Delaware offering me a scholarship. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. Me and my brother's going crazy. 5 minutes later, it's another head coach. It's another coach.
Jeez, wow.
And that was the first time in my life when I truly understood like what hard work could get you, and when you really dedicate yourself to something, what can happen. So that was a very big transitional part of my life that kind of, I still refer to it back to this day. Like whenever things get hard and whenever things aren't going my way, just remember that time where like nobody knew who I was, when, you know, I couldn't run and chew gum at the same time, but putting in the work and seeing what the work can get you. That was just a very pivotal part in my life for sure.
Yeah, I love that you touched on it. Like you said, you know, having parents that immigrated to this country, you know, you're going to play basketball. You thinking essentially like, you know, you don't know what you're going to do, right? But you start playing sports, you get very active. And the next thing you know, you're on the couch with your brother watching our favorite Nickelodeon, and you're getting calls from college coaches. I mean, that was exciting. And then now you have a chance to go to college, play the sport you love, and get a degree, right? I don't know if it's better than that, right? And get an education. And so I'm so happy that you touched on that. I love that you shout out your coaches. I think so often, you know, a lot of us aren't any place, Greg, where we are without the help of others. And I'm so happy by name that you're calling out these people who invested in you and believed in you. And now you are here today. So I'm so happy you did that. All right. So that takes you to Wagner. You choose Wagner for college. I thought this was pretty interesting. An anthropology major. I think you're the first anthropology major, Greg, I've had on the show. Now, I've met a lot of cool people. You got to tell us, how do you even get interested in that major?
So yeah, that's another interesting story. So one of the many reasons I chose to go to Wagner, among the many other reasons I chose, was they had a very, like, probably one of the best nursing programs in the country. And if people don't know, both my parents are nurses. My dad got his degree, I think back in like 2008, you know, and that's part of the reason why I respect my parents so much, is like, you know, putting food on the table for 3 kids, still finding time to work and still trying to find time to go to school and get their education. And just seeing that growing up just really, you know, one, it showed me what hard work and dedication can get you, but 2, also just lit a fire under me. Like, I don't want my parents to have to work like this the rest of their lives. Like, they came over here, they took a chance, they believed in God to come here and sacrificed a lot, just for me and my brothers. So I wanted to put that burden on my shoulders at some point and just kind of make their lives easy. But like I said, both my parents are nurses, and they kind of encouraged me to get in the medical field. That's something I've always wanted to do. And, you know, they had one of the top nursing programs in the country. So that's one of the reasons I went to Wagner. And, you know, playing collegiate sports and being in a nursing program are very difficult to do. And Wagner tried very hard to make it a reality for me, but eventually life, you know, takes over, and, you know, you have to go to hospitals, you have to do clinicals, you have to do all these certain things. So it never worked out that way. So after my junior year, after my sophomore year, before, you know, you hit your junior year and you have to start getting into those things, I kind of had to pivot and transition into something that would allow me to go back to school at some point and maybe finish my degree. And that was medical anthropology. So I was a degree that they kind of helped me go into. But I loved it. It was super interesting, just studying different cultures and different people all over the world and how they view medicine and healing. And, you know, I was able to do my thesis on like the difference between Western and Eastern medicine, and spend time in the hospital and watch surgeries and watch the doctors and the nurses and things like that. So, I mean, it didn't work out the way exactly I wanted to, but at the end of everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it does, because you have a pretty cool job now, Greg, if I might say. You know, you never know what life after football, right, will take you. And so, again, that's the interesting thing about life. And, again, I'm so happy that you touched on that. And I want to stay on Wagner because I know it's a big part of you and who you are. So, you know, 2 sports stand out. You made 22 starts at power forward on Wagner's championship basketball team before taking up football, right, your last 2 years. Starting at right tackle junior and senior year. So first off, congrats on the championship basketball team. I love that you really had options, Greg. But let's talk about, you're at Wagner, going from basketball, going to football. You touched on the different positions, but when you're getting to that tackle spot, how did you know like that was the role for you? And this was the, you know, the football position that was meant for Greg, this and not to play?
I mean, it took some time. Like when I first started playing, I was getting my butt kicked. I didn't know what I was doing out there. I was skinny compared to everybody else. You know, I'm used to being the biggest guy on the basketball court to now like I'm playing football and these guys are massive.
Big guys around me.
And like I swear, if it wasn't for my coaches, like I said, Coach Haas, Coach Wheeler, Gustavius Patterson, a lot of coaches that really just kept me encouraged, especially in those moments when I really felt like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I bit off more than I can chew. Like specifically, I remember I think it was my very first collegiate football game after going through camp. And now, oh, Greg, you're going to be the starting right tackle. I'm like, okay, all right. We traveled up to Boston College to play BC.
Yeah.
And, you know, small school playing a big school. You know how that's supposed to end up. But we played really well as a team. But me personally, like my first time playing collegiate football, playing against, I think they had a really good defensive end at the time who was projected to be a first-round pick the following year. And that was definitely my welcome to football moment. I gave up three sacks in the second half. And we're down like 30, so like it doesn't really matter. But me personally, being the competitor I am and not wanting to look bad and wanting to, you know, hate being beat. Right. After that game, I was just like literally just downtrodden and just like, I'm like, yo, what am I doing? Like, what is this mentally? And I remember before getting on the bus, Coach Haas, who was the head coach at the time, stopping me and just saying, hey, Greg, keep your head up. Like, I just talked to the head coach of BC, and this is a coach who's very well respected in collegiate football, saying he sees potential and he wants you to keep working. He sees that you can do this. So I want you to believe that you can do this. And that's one moment specifically where I remember like a switch flipping, like, all right, I'm going to stick to this. I told my coaches, I told myself I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to be the best version of myself at this. So I just continue to commit myself to the craft. Would spend every day after practice on the field, working my sets, working my feet, working my hands, and spending time with my coaches and my teammates. And my teammates were great, helping me, encouraging me, and helping me get better. And it just kind of slowly came together. My first year playing football, and thankfully I was able to get some notoriety, and you know, some coaches were coming to watch us practice, and they would see potential in me as well. And that following year, being my fifth year, I was able just to focus on football because that year I was playing football and basketball.
So which is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but it was fun. Like, I'm so happy I was able to do that. But that fifth year really helped me out a lot, where I was just able to focus on being a football player, getting stronger, perfecting my body, perfecting my craft, and it just kind of helped me just elevate.
Yeah, and that's huge. And talking about elevating, you elevated pretty high. You went on to be drafted by the Baltimore Ravens in the 6th round of the 2018 NFL Draft, number 212 pick overall, which was the last year for retiring general manager Ozzie Newsome. Take me back to that moment, Greg. What was that like?
Oh, man, that moment was, for one, stressful. If anyone's ever been through the draft process, they know, you know, I was a day 3 pick, which I kind of figured I would be, but just sitting there. Big shout outs to my agency Sports Stars and my agents Alan Herman and Jamie Mullen for just helping me through that entire process. But I remember just being there with my whole family, my agents, and just like waiting and just watching names go by, and finally getting that call, you know, getting to speak to Ozzie Newsome, asked me, hey, do you want to be a Baltimore Ravens? Like, yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Like, I won't let you down. And getting to talk to Coach Harbaugh, it was like a full circle moment. And like, I thank God. And like, without God, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I'm a huge believer in Jesus Christ, and that like my faith has carried me through my entire life. And just being able to share that moment with my family, my friends, my agents, everyone that's helped me to this point, and just see the joy on my parents' face and my brother's faces, and like, just like, man, I did something. I did this. Like, it's crazy. And I was just so grateful, and I felt so blessed. And I mean, it's one of those moments, one of those times you'll never forget in your life.
Yeah, it's nothing like it. And again, to get drafted by Ozzie Newsome, getting that call of all people.
The great.
Powerful, right? I mean, Ozzie's he has a legacy, right? And we know for that Baltimore Ravens organization, and then to join such a storied franchise, right? I mean, I'm sure for you it was exciting. I want to go back to another question we have. Mike has some good ones for you. He said he believes the defensive end we're playing. So we're going back to college, Greg, right? Was Harold Landry III? I see the facial expression. He is the starting outside linebacker for the Tennessee Titans now. Does that sound right, Greg?
Yep, that's about right.
The facial expression said it all. We're going to go back to better times, Greg. We're going to go back to that 2018 Ravens draft class. And what a draft class that was. You had Hayden Hurst drafted, Lamar Jackson, Orlando Brown, Mark Andrews, and the list goes on and on and on. Deshaun Elliott, you obviously, Bradley Bozeman. I mean, what a draft class to be a part of. Do you ever think back to that draft class? Y'all are big names, nice names in that 2018 draft class for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 2020, and looking back at all those dudes that I got drafted with, it's insane that I got to be a part of something so special. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens organization is top notch.
Yeah.
Everyone from top down, like, they're all about winning. They're all about their players. And I still talk to a lot of those guys to this day. But, I mean, like I said, I'm just blessed that I was able to be a part of that draft class. And I'm happy to see that all those guys are thriving and doing really well in the league, as they should. They deserve it. Like, they're all, like, on top of being great football players, all those guys are great dudes. You know, they care for each other. They care for their team. And they're just great people. So I'm just happy that I was able to be a part of something like that, especially coming from where I come from. And for the opportunity to be drafted by an organization like that, to come into the league, like, I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, I love that. Again, just so humble, great organization. Just talking about just your impact. You were the second Seahawk to ever be selected in the NFL draft, joining Richie Coyote, who was second in the 18th round of the 1965 NFL draft by the Minnesota Vikings. 1965, Greg, me and you weren't even thought about at that time, and here you come many decades later to be the second one to represent Wagner. What does that mean to you?
That's another thing. Like, you're like talking to you right now. These are things like I know, but I haven't really reflected on. So, like, as you're saying it, I'm like thinking about it.
Yeah.
But another just unreal thing that, by the grace of God, I was able to accomplish with all the help that I've had, and like to represent my school that's like given me so much, and like to represent them and be drafted and be the first one in 50 some odd years to be drafted.
Huge.
It's huge. Like, I mean, when you think about legacy and something that you want to leave behind, like those are some of those things that come into play. And like, more so than that, I'm just happy that with that, it wasn't just me getting the credit. It's like, even now, like after I left, you know, Wagner has continued to put people and put guys in the league. Cameron Gill, who's a defensive end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just won a Super Bowl, you know, and he's a guy that he was a freshman when I started playing football for Wagner. We would have battles with each other and just try to make each other better. And to see him thriving, like, makes me happy that I got to be a little piece of his journey and like where he's going and all the great things he's going to do. Or Chris Williams, who plays for the Indianapolis Colts now, he's a D tackle. Like, to say that I kind of opened or put my foot in the door to help these guys get to where they are, that's greater than like any of those accomplishments, because like I want that to keep going. I want Wagner to keep producing these guys and giving people opportunity to live their dreams out, you know?
I love that. And again, it shows greatness can come from anywhere, whether it's Wagner or any other school. And I hope students out there realize that you don't always need to go to these big name schools to get attention and make it to the NFL. You're a living, breathing testament. As you said, Wagner keeps putting guys out. So we're making sure that if you weren't on notice already.
Julian Stanford. Can't forget about my brother, Julian Stanford. He played at Wagner probably 4 years before I got there, but he's one of my older brothers in the league, and I think he's going on year 8 or 9 with the Carolina Panthers, if I'm wrong. I think it's with the Carolina Panthers, but just, Wagner just doing what they do and giving guys opportunities.
Giving guys opportunities. So if you weren't on notice already, Wagner College, you've been put on notice right now by Greg Senat. For everyone out there, you talked about doing something that hasn't been done in 50 years. Talk about then you get to play for the Kansas City Chiefs, becoming the first Wagner player to ever go on and win the Super Bowl. Wow. Remember that 31-20 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Greg, I had the privilege of actually being at that Super Bowl game as media. What a moment. Wow. Talked about parents immigrating here. You go to Wagner College. You start with basketball. You switch to football. And now you're adding a championship ring to your legacy. Take me back to that moment, Greg. What was that like?
I mean, that's a moment that's another undescribable moment to be there. And, you grow up watching the Super Bowl. I remember watching many Super Bowls. Like, I'm a New Yorker, so I grew up a Giants fan, watching when they beat the Patriots and different things like that. But to be there, it's one of those things where you have to like take a step back and breathe in and be like, I'm really here. Let me be in the moment. Let me see what's going like let me take this all in, because who knows when you'll be back there again. But it was just a great moment to see all the guys that like I practiced with and played with, and winning that Super Bowl. I think it's the first Super Bowl in Kansas City history in 50 years.
Yeah.
And it just kind of lit a fire into me. Like I want even more of this. I want to be a part of this, because like that season I was hurt. I got hurt halfway through the season, so I wasn't able to participate the way I wanted to.
Right.
So that was just a little internal battle I was going through. But just to see it all come to fruition and win that Super Bowl and see people crying and hugging their family members, and I had some of my family there too. It's something I'll never forget. I'll be showing my kids the ring and like sharing these memories for the rest of my life. Like, and you were there. I mean, you got to see a celebration. You got to see it, but
yeah,
it was just incredible to be on the field and see and touch the Lombardi trophy and have it passed around and just celebrate with my teammates.
It's a special, special, special moment. I'm telling you, Greg, even retired NFL players, they'll trade a lot of moments to have a ring. And the fact that you have one is special. And still young in your career, so you never know. You might be adding to the other fingers on your hand, right? More championships. But that first one, there's nothing like that first one. And to do something that Kansas City and that city and those fans, Greg, I'm sure it was just a special moment. And talking about that, I'm sure, was it hard to watch this year's Super Bowl game and see the Buccaneers get the best of your old Chiefs?
I mean, it was tough because, like, I know a lot of guys on that team, and I know what they put in to every day in practice and every game they play. So I definitely feel for them in losing that game. But they're a great team. I know they'll be back. And I mean, it was also just unreal watching Tom Brady just operate. And what is he, year 19, 20, and he's still he's killing. So, yeah, and another late rounded drafted guy, 6th round pick guy, and just kind of carved his own path and made his own way in the league. And that's just another like bit of inspiration for me. Like, if he can do it, anyone can do it. You know what I'm saying? And it was a great game to watch. It was a great game.
It was. I mean, I know, look, either way about it, I mean, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. The Buccaneers are something so special. And then what they were able to do with diversity on those sidelines as well. Just great stories all around for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And who knows, the Chiefs might be back, or maybe you'll be back. Let's talk about your team you're playing with now, Greg, the Dallas Cowboys. You got signed to the Cowboys active roster after starting the 2020 season on the Cleveland Browns practice squad. So you're in Dallas again. I'll warn you, the show is based in Washington, D.C., so be nice, everyone, all right? We're going to be very nice to our Cowboys fans. But talk about this transition going from the Browns practice squad to the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, right? I'm sure that was pretty exciting for you.
Definitely. You don't really know what it means to play for America's team until you get there. And it's America's team for sure. And I'm just grateful. Again, I have to say this, grateful for the opportunity for Coach McCarthy and everyone who decided to bring me in and give me opportunity to play and pick me up off the practice squad. It was, for me, my first season where I was fully healthy and able to participate the entire year. And I felt like that was like just paramount in my growth and development as a player, just to be around, to practice, be involved in games, just to get that under my belt. And I mean, I learned so much this year. Great organization, great people, great teammates. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love Dallas. And I mean, I'm just grateful to be here, grateful to be a Cowboy.
I can tell. And, the season, of course, was hard. We had COVID, and then your Cowboys saw what happened with Dak. Andy Dalton steps up. So just, I mean, how were you guys able to get through that adversity? And, of course, we all saw what was the NFC East this season, right? So the NFC East went through a lot, right? All the teams, not just the Cowboys, but what was it like being a part of that adversity and just making sure you guys could go on and play another Sunday?
I mean, like you said, everyone in the league was going through the same thing. I mean, I think everyone in professional sports is going through the same thing. And like, this is a year that nobody could expect. And like every week you kind of had to just get back to the drawing board because something new would pop up. Someone would catch COVID or like something would shut down this and third. So it was just, guys had to come together and just stay strong and just, stick to what we know what to do. Practice hard, get in the weight room hard, get in your playbook. And we couldn't give up. In football, things happen. You're not going to win every game. Things aren't always going to go your way, but like the guys in that building, they work hard, they're dedicated, and they push through adversity. And it wasn't easy. I don't think it was easy for anybody, but I think we handled it very well.
Very, very well. And I love what you recently tweeted about year 3 for you. You said year 3 in the books, filled with adversity, ups and downs. However, there were lessons to be learned at every corner. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this great group of men. Time to get back in the lab and get better. I think that tweet up what you just said, Greg. Very, very well said. And excited for you to get back in the lab, and hopefully, who knows what the Cowboys will do next season, right? The NFC East up for grabs. Maybe you guys will get that title. I know you're working for it. We have another question from the fans we want to go to, Greg. Do you have any fun OBJ stories? Deets, Greg.
Deets. Nothing in particular. I mean, I could just say that being around him, he's a great dude, great teammate, funny guy. Like teammates want to be around him and you know, just talk to him. Like he's a great teammate. I wasn't there for very long, so I don't have any detailed stories about him. But you know, he's a great guy. I think he gets a bad rap in the media a lot. I think, you know, sometimes I don't mean to take shots at you, Kelsey, but, you know, sometimes the media can get a little crazy.
Okay, some media.
Some media. But, no, I mean, he was a great dude for, you know, the few weeks I was there.
I appreciate you touching on that. One more from the fans I want to go to before I get you back to that Arizona warm weather and training. What is the biggest bit of advice you received in the National Football League? And also, I'll follow up to that question. Can you tell us who told it to you as well?
Biggest bit of advice. I've heard it from this piece of advice I've heard from a few guys, whether it be strength coaches that I've had in Baltimore, or just when I first got in the league, or just as I've played on different teams and been around really successful players and successful organizations and coaches, is routine is key. I feel like as you get further in this, like your NFL journey, it's very important that you have a routine that you stick with, that you're consistent, that you're disciplined in how you handle yourself, and those things add up. Like there's a phrase in sports like called stacking days. So every day that you're consistent, every day that you're disciplined in your work ethic, every day that you're you know, like I said, disciplined and consistent, those days stack up. And you may not see it day by day, but as the weeks and the months go on, you see yourself get better, you see yourself get stronger. So I think the biggest piece of advice is consistency and having a routine and having consistent work ethic.
Nice. Very well said, Greg. It's been such a pleasure to have you. I appreciate you giving me your time. And on the off season, sometimes, you know, some of y'all probably want to just relax, right? Why is another media person reaching out to me? But I really enjoyed you being here on Listening with KNN. How about a fun one to end? Who's the most fun in the locker room? Who's the class clown, I guess I'll call it, of the Dallas locker room, Greg? Who would you give that title to?
Class clown. That's interesting.
Yes.
Shoot.
You can say yourself.
I mean, I like to have fun, but I wouldn't say I'm a class clown. I don't want to put anyone on blast, but you know, there's a lot of guys who enjoy coming to work. They keep it light. I don't want to call out anyone specifically, but you know, I think when you play a sport as hard as football, it's very important that you have people in your locker room that, you know, could keep it light and keep guys kind of engaged, because the days can get long and the weeks get long. So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's important to have fun and, you know, have a little let loose every once in a while.
When you love what you do, you should be laughing, having fun. And it's business. You guys are human beings. At the end of the day, Greg, fingers crossed that next season will hopefully be safer. Hopefully we get fans back in the stadium, right? I'm sure you guys all want full capacity, even when at away games, right? Even sometimes those negative fans can add to you and you just, you know, what you do on the football field. So fingers crossed. Best wishes to you, and we'll see if the Dallas Cowboys can get the NFC East next season, Greg.
Hopefully, go Cowboys. Thanks for having me. Yeah,
Thanks so much for thanks so much for coming on the show, Greg. I really appreciate your time again. Best wishes. Best of luck with training, and enjoy that warm Arizona sun.
Will do. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks so much. Bye. All right, you guys just heard from Greg Senat for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, again, be nice. We know in Washington, we love our Washington football team, and of course over in Baltimore Ravens, but truly love having a current player come on and just talk about the year that was. Of course, 2020 was a season unlike any other, but we're hoping, of course, this upcoming 2021 season will be much better. Fingers crossed that we get back to life as normal. And please, on that note, everyone be safe. If you can, please sign up for those vaccine shots. And until then, wear your face masks and stay safe. Please, so we can all get through this together. I'll be back next week live on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with another special guest. We're going to stay current, so you guys will definitely want to stay tuned for that. And also check out my audio version of this show that comes out on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Appreciate each and every one of you for listening into the show each and every week. It means so much. And a special thanks to all of you who watched the last shows with Sam Cunningham and Junior Bridgman. If you haven't had a chance, please go check those out on YouTube. Until next week, enjoy the weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and have a great one. Bye, guys.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.